Today we are looking at the late 2013 MacBook Pro, and we're going to take a look at how it performs in today's environment by comparison to newer machines, and whether or not this is still a good buy for someone at home. This one we picked up locally. My brother got it from a guy who takes really good care of his machines. It's pretty close to mint, I would say. Probably a fair assessment to call it a low mileage machine. So today we're reviewing a 13-inch late 2013 MacBook Pro with 8 gigs of RAM. It's basically a base model. This thing is sleek, compact, and still a little bit heavy with its all aluminum chassis, as well as its real glass Retina display, but it does put most PC laptops to shame with its native resolution coming in at 2560 by 1600. I'm not like you around. This is actually a really nice glass display. Aesthetically, this is the laptop that we still associate with creatives, media students, people who sit around Starbucks trying to look like they're working on a very important script, just hoping that someone will ask them what it is or what it's about. Its iconic look, I think, keeps this thing at the top of most people's lists for used machines. They sell for a lot more than most PC and like Android freak show laptops of the same era. If you're looking for a cheap used laptop that you can kind of kick back with on the couch and do some internet browsing or watch YouTube videos or word processing, that kind of thing, this is the machine for you. When it comes to things that are a little more heavy on like CPU usage or graphics usage, it does struggle a bit. One of the major pluses of these MacBooks is that they don't use the butterfly keyboard, which came out in 2016 and ran to I think about 2019 or even 2020. That was a keyboard that was developed by Apple and largely failed. It had problems with keys sticking and phantom typing. The scissor keyboards used on the 2012 Retinas through to like the 2015s are just a joy to type on. They make my fingers sing Appalachi, which I think is about a sad clown, so maybe not that. Anyway, joy to type on, makes me actually want to type things. As far as sound goes, these are actually a decent machine. They have good quality sound. A lot of Apple products have decent quality sound, I've found. That rhymed. Once upon a time, these were actually some of the nicest laptops you could buy, right? Like, these were expensive machines. Granted, this is a 13-inch base model. I even owned one of those. I had a late 2013 15-inch MacBook Pro with dedicated graphics. I don't really know if I'm going to keep this computer. I'm not that impressed with it. Either way, buyer beware. And I ended up selling it because, I found that it throttled quite a bit, and even playing something as simple as Minecraft, we were up to like 100 degrees Celsius on all 4 cores. So definitely the cooling leaves something to be desired on these machines. So what's the story on the one that we're actually looking at? My brother and I wanted to do a review on a Retina MacBook Pro. He found this one for, as I said earlier, $360 locally. It came with the original box, shrink wrap, pamphlets, everything. So we jumped on it, and he's actually been using it as a daily driver for a couple months now. So let's talk to him and find out what he thinks about it.
And I realized, I've got my earbud in, I need to reshoot this. I put it down, and he just wants to lick it so bad. So using this MacBook as a daily driver has been quite the experience, especially as a diehard PC enthusiast. I've never owned an Apple PC before. I bought, I think, that iMac that we cleaned up before. I didn't use it, it was more like a collectible piece, but I've never bought a Mac actually to use it. I brought it home and I thought, well, shoot, this is really nice. Maybe we'll shoot a video with it. It's so mint. And then I started using it, and the Retina display really won me over. And my daily driver laptop has been a Dell Latitude E5440. So the bright high resolution display has been a major upgrade. It's even nicer than my 17-inch gaming laptop, if I'm being totally honest. That thing's only 1080p because it's trying to get a high refresh rate. But this Retina display, it's like having an iPad right in front of you. It's gorgeous. The increased resolution, though, brings with it some obvious performance costs. The battery life is still at least as good as my Dell was, which is about 4 to 6 hours of regular use when it's not plugged in. When you think about it, for a 10-year-old laptop, that's incredible. I find the dual-core i5 is lacking a bit in terms of raw power, and since this machine is powering the display off of its iGPU, because this isn't one with a discrete graphics card, you can tell it's struggling to keep up in modern applications. macOS does a relatively good job smoothing out the experience, but loading programs is slower than you might expect for a machine with a solid-state drive. It'll run Premiere Pro, but with noticeable but tolerable lag. Photoshop runs all right, but takes a while to load, and if anything goes awry in either program, it'll crash, or at least hang so long that you think that it's crashed. I found this more frustrating before I tried using my gaming laptop, which is an MSI GE72VR Apache Pro. But when I use that on battery, I realized that it's actually kind of choppy too, and I think that laptops in general, when they're not plugged in, just don't have the power available to them to provide a smooth experience. So that actually made me less frustrated with the MacBook once I realized that I was going to get this experience on pretty much any laptop. As for daily driving macOS as a PC user, I haven't loved it, if I'm being totally honest. I've carried this MacBook with me 5 days a week. I bring it to work, and during my lunch hour I use it, and I don't know. I find a lot of its features to be hidden in a frustrating way. If you don't want to use iCloud or other Apple services, it's really frustrating. It's more difficult than Windows, for example, to move pictures off of a phone. It's more difficult than Windows to move pictures off an iPhone. What the hell? I feel like a lot of this is just coming from I'm very used to Windows, so I don't know where the shortcuts are. I don't know what the processes are. If you're already familiar with macOS, you'll probably love it. This is a great machine. It's great value. The hardware is phenomenal. I actually love the hardware so much, I got rid of my Dell, if that tells you something. I'm probably just going to install Windows on it using Boot Camp. The hardware is just too good. I can't see myself giving this up. For the amount of money that I paid, I will never get a better laptop than this. And it's the sort of thing that I want to have as a thin and light. It's thinner, it's lighter than my Dell, it's easier to carry.
Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth, or should I say my brother's mouth, which, I don't know. I don't think he's very horse-like. Either way, I think we can all agree that Sarah Jessica Parker is a little horse-like, as we saw earlier, or better yet, Mick Jagger, or who's the guy from Aerosmith? I think his name was Sarah Jessica Parker. Anyway, I never thought Sarah Jessica Parker was that horse-like, to be honest. I think she always got a bad rep. She didn't totally have that equine vibe that I thought, a person who'd be called a horse so frequently in the media would actually have. Anyway, none of this is important. What's important is this lovely little MacBook Pro is an excellent choice for someone who's looking for light usage. These are starting to trend down even further in price now that we have new operating systems like Ventura that are excluding 2015 machines. These Retinas are starting to kind of go down a little bit more in price, so you might be able to get an even better deal than the one that we got. Anyway, before we go, I want to thank my patrons, and I got them all written down here. We've got Andy, David G, Larry C, Justin M, Ron's Computer Vids, Jason S, Adam M, Groupride, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, Trina C, Garth B, Mac84, Ethan P, and Ron R is back on the list. That's right, folks. So if you want to become a patron, or if you're interested in supporting the channel through Buy Me a Coffee, you can also check out links to our social media and, all the other crap that people put in descriptions down below. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Enjoy this outtake from our shoot earlier. I don't know, be good to each other and the world.
Don't buy a MacBook because you think it's going to be a better experience. It's not, it's a different experience. So, Jesus Christ.